Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the What's Next podcast, where we sit down with real estate agents, entrepreneurs, and business professionals to talk about tech, real estate, and everything interesting, really. I'm your host, Max Bergstrom, and this is What's Next. Let's go. We sit down with real estate agents and talk about how the industry is changing, thriving with technology. We look at strategy. We love it. Welcome to What's Next podcast. And we're back with another fantastic episode of the What's Next podcast. I'm sitting here with Mr. Joe Lima. He's a private money lender who focuses on residential construction financing, and he's back in San Diego again. Joe, thanks for being on the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Max, I've seen some prestigious guests come through this studio, so I'm really appreciate the opportunity to be on with you, so thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for coming in. And the whole back in San Diego thing, it sounds like you're a California guy, but you've been kind of up and down and all around. So what brings you back, and what's going on with that?
Well, other than the quality of life down here, it's fantastic, but just overall background for me, I mean, I've been in the mortgage business like half my life, lending, starting on the conventional side, but came me down here is I went to San Diego State, started as a intern for them into the mortgage business.
Okay, so you were like right away getting into this, like right off the jump into finance and stuff like that.
Well,
you weren't like, I want to be an artist, and then you pursued that for 10 years, and you're like, nope, never mind.
No, I went to school, thought I used to love Wall Street, and I love Charlie Sheen's character, and that was a great movie. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go to school and then go onto Wall Street and sell stocks and be a financial advisor. But I fell into mortgages as an intern, and I was a paid internship. So
you wanted to be a Wall Street guy?
I did.
Like a New York Wall Street guy?
I originally, when I was, through high school and then first part of college, I thought that was going to be, that was my path. I was going to take that and run with it. But
sweet.
What changed it was when you're 20 years old and you get a commission check with a comma in it, and you thought okay, this is not too bad. I'll just stick with this. Yeah. And just sticking with that when I was 20 to now, it's crazy to look back and like, I've been doing this for half my life. But you start on that path, and you get one check, and you go, what happens if I do 2 of those a month? Okay. And you do 2. Okay. What about 3? Okay. 4.
What about 10?
Let's get 10. So there's always that motivational factor that it's part of the business that keeps things going. And that's what I love about it. But, there's no real cap to it. You keep out there and growing your own business.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Well, you get out what you put in. Yep.
But I started as an intern there when worked around Mission Valley. We had a great mortgage shop that right down the road from where we're at now, and rode that wave of the mid 2000s. And you talk about maybe your folks or some older people like, I bought this house and I had a 13% mortgage.
Yeah.
Well, when I started, it wasn't too far off. I mean, people were at 8%, and I was dropping them down to 7 and 4, and now 5, 4, down the road. But when you're 20 years old, you think like you're doing everything perfect, but it really was just how the market was, and rode that wave, right? But then when 08 hit, and it changed the industry and changed everything we know it in real estate, and that was a time where I went to the Bay Area, did a little hiatus from San Diego, but back down here ready to roll. It's a beautiful place.
Got it. Yeah, no kidding. It really is. I moved here 5 years ago, and every now and again I'll think like, would I ever move back? And then like, no, why would you ever want to be anywhere else? So.
No, and the whole COVID thing, my wife and I made us think like, hey, if you're going to be stuck somewhere, you might as well be stuck where people vacation.
Dude, I'm from Minneapolis. These people I was talking to, like all through the winter, they're like, this is terrible. But like, you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't want to be outside anyways during that time, but still like, no way. So, well, that's great. But you grew up like in the Bay Area though, right?
Yeah.
And you went to high school up there, Bellarmine.
Yeah. Bellarmine.
With our class mutual friend, Casey LeBlanc.
Yeah. Had first class together freshman year and just kind of stuck with them all the way through. So class of 98. Yeah. That's how old we are.
Yep. He's a good guy. He's one of the greatest, actually. I mean, he was telling me some interesting stories when he was in here previously. But it sounds like you guys had a lot of fun and all that, and maybe got into a little bit of trouble every now and again. Good stuff.
There's a lot of stuff we can go into on that, but might be better for another day.
Yeah, maybe for round 2.
Yeah,
we can get into that for round 2.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, so you grew up there, and you got into you wanted to be a Wall Street guy, and but so you always knew kind of like once you got that first commission check, you're like, okay, I can really push this thing, and then that was kind of it. Like you fell into it, felt like it was the right, Yeah,
I think just in knowing the people in the industry. Maybe not so much real estate, because that's more of a glamorous type side of the industry.
Yes,
being a real estate agent or realtor at that side. But the finance part, for the most part, you don't really go to school going, I'm going to be a loan officer. It just kind of it just kind of happens.
Yeah,
and that was my click. Okay, this aha moment. Let's roll with this, because there's opportunity there. But it wasn't something that I thought I would be into. But I guess fast forwarding, I kind of am still financial guiding clients that I have now, but instead of a stock portfolio, it's a real estate portfolio.
Yeah, so you do private lending for residential. So like we're talking fix and flips. We're talking what else? What other kind of
fix and flips? The bread and butter.
Okay.
But we'll like the shows everybody's watched on HGTV, like Flip This House or Flip or Flop.
I went to one of those fortune builders things back in I think like 2015 or whatever with a couple of buddies, and so I know like for a minute there, like fix and flips was like the thing, and everybody, and like wholesaling.
Yep.
Remember like people talking about wholesaling and talking about getting in that game. So like what's the process like in that? I mean, is it as clear cut as some of these people? No. They're like, oh yeah, you get a team and it's A, B, and C, and then like they make it seem so easy.
That is important, but I mean, what I was going to say is that you watch those type of shows, and you have the hosts of those shows. Now, those specific people aren't my clients or anything, but those are my type of borrowers that are going out there trying to find that opportunity, that diamond in the rough in the neighborhood to rehab, remodel, build up the neighborhood.
Yep.
So we have that clientele or a segment of it, and then you get the mom and pop general contractor that is maybe a small development company that will look to scrape and rebuild ground up construction on a new home.
Okay.
So maybe you find that, I call them a grandma house that's they moved in the 30s, and it's like the original house, and they still have the pink shag carpeting, and like nothing's been touched. You get that thing when the family decides to sell it, you bulldoze it and you rebuild a new house. So those contractors need money to build. So that's where I come in as a capital partner for them. And then you get the smaller-ish developments where you get, instead of one house, maybe you're subdividing and building 3 or 4 on a lot. So I'll work with those people.
Like modifications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or if somebody wanted it, like I lived in a place for a while that was it was originally just a big house, and then they like modded it out to be 4 separate apartments.
Yeah.
So like stuff like that.
Or if it's a small house on a large lot, and they're able to chop it up and build 4 houses or 5 houses, or maybe a small townhouse development of 10.
Cool.
So there's all the full spectrum of that. You got your basic fix and flip where they're just going in, maybe putting lipstick on a pig, where they're putting in new granite countertops, hardwood floors, and then putting it on the market, all the way up to the smaller mid-sized development.
And like the buzz term that I always use here was LTV. Is that what it is? And that's is that loan to value?
Loan to value, mortgage term. So
got it.
You got the basic one, and then for me, there's the ARV.
Yeah.
So that's after rehab value, future value. So in a sense, we're predicting the future. Okay, look here, if based off of what you gave us, this is what your house should maybe sell for.
Yeah.
It's done. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, that's the niche I'm in. I mean, I went, just going back, I guess, to my background a little bit more. I worked with Joe and Susie Homebuyer doing conventional 30-year fixed stuff for the first half of my
Joe
career.
and Susie.
Joe and
Good
Susie
friends
Homebuyer.
of mine.
Yeah. So they
I like that. I love that. I love that.
Joe and Susie Homebuyer were my clientele for 12, 13 years. And I wanted to change it up a little bit, make it a little bit more challenging for myself, and put my brain to work. And that's where I got into the construction financing for the past 8-9 years, and it's been great. It's genuinely it's fun for me to watch a project go from start to finish.
Yeah, well, tell me about what's that process like? Like starting from like
Like the loan process, or just the whole thing?
Like the client experience.
Okay.
Like if I came to you and I was like, hey, you know, I got one property that I want to sell, and you know, it needs, you know, I want to get as much as I can out of it. You know, like do you make calls, or do these come across your desk by?
I mean, most of it is word of mouth, in referral based, and that's
so kind of like a real estate agent where you have your sphere and people just start to know. They're like, oh yeah, I know Joe Lima. He does stuff like this. You could get good value. I'll, you know, give you his info and whatnot.
Definitely. That's I mean, and that's the best type of clientele I would like to work with is you already have a trust factor there.
For sure.
And then you get things where it's a mortgage broker that's having trouble get a loan together or something like that.
Yeah.
But mostly word of mouth, and referral based, but you have a borrower that is typically they're in the business. Maybe they went to a Fortune Builders, or they've learned they've been a general contractor. Instead of, you know, building for other people, they want to do it for themselves. And they have to take that leap of faith to go out there and actually do it and put their own skin in the game, their money, and then I come in with the rest of it. But I guess the general process is the number one, the hardest thing is to go find that property, especially right now with the way supply and demand is. So typically it's going to be something like,
no kidding.
Yeah. I mean, this real estate in a whole has just been crazy. But so to find that one house that, you know, wants to sell as is, that's dilapidated or needs some work. Is hard enough. So that's the number.
Well, and I would imagine too, like all the sellers want like max value, especially right now, right? Like some of the agents have been like, like people are wanting like crazy amounts over, you know, what the value would be, or what, you know, the suggested comps and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Just because it's so,
But it's so finding it's going to be is the most difficult part. And then the rest of it is coming into play where the borrower does their homework and run some ARV comparables to say, okay, if we have this budget and we do XYZ work to this house, it should then sell for this. And then I come in and and underwrite the deal. So kind of check the borrower's homework and say, okay, look, if you go into this, you're buying it for X, you're going to put Y into it. It should sell for XYZ. And then I go through and analyze that and make sure it's going to work out. So for me as a lender, I want to be secure, but at the end of the day, the borrower has to be successful. If I don't, it's my job to help set them up for success.
Right.
And I'm not going to just push a deal to make a deal happen. If it's not going to work out, maybe they're shooting for that brass ring to say, hey, look, I'm going to sell it for the record price per square foot when I'm all said and done. That's not a game plan you want. Because then, you know, there's little things, you've seen the TV shows, but like there's little things that come up along the way. Maybe it takes a couple months longer to sell. Maybe there's a little change in the market and you're not getting that price. You want to be right in the road or middle of the road to make that happen. So I underwrite the deal from a risk perspective for lending on it to finance it. But at the same time, like I said, if the borrower has to be successful, because at the end of the day, they're selling the house to make a profit when they flip it, or the spec build. They put all their year and a half.
Well, and
into
just
building
like
this
the
new
client,
house.
I mean, that's another relationship for you as well, right? I mean, so you want all parties to come out in best case scenario.
That house selling is putting food on their table, or it's their money for the quarter, or how many projects they're doing. So it's not like I'm the be all say all, but you want it, like I said earlier, check their homework to see if it's there. And then if they have a successful transaction and they make money on it and they have a good experience, then they're coming back for more, because they don't just do one flip and say, okay, peace out, we're done. They're going to go find another one and another one. And just like we talked about at the very beginning about the commission checks and when you're 20 years old and trying to get up to 10, those guys are out there trying to get 10 flips a year.
Totally.
And make the money. So they need financing to help leverage it and make it work.
Yeah, totally. What's the name of the Fan Merrill Fortune Builder? What was the name of the show?
They're all like they all like
list my home.
Yes.
Or like flip my home or whatever.
Something like that.
But I remember
they all mesh together to me.
Yeah, totally. But like this. Okay, so the one I was at was in Minneapolis, and like the guy who was running the seminar I think his name is Jamie Black, I want to say.
Okay.
And he was on the show, but like this guy, his public speaking game was top notch, and he did this tag. So I have a psychology degree, so like just human behavior.
No wonder I feel so comfortable here.
Right? Exactly. So tell me, how's your relationship with your mother, Joe? No, just kidding. But no, so this guy, I mean, he's up there and he's talking to everybody, and I'm sitting here watching all these people, and what he would do is he did two things. He would say, you know, we get in this business and we're going to make a lot of money. You want to make a lot of money? Everybody say, oh yeah. You want to make a lot? Say, oh yeah. And people say, oh yeah. But he would repeatedly do that. And he'd say, you know, if you're cool with that, raise your hand nice and high. Raise your hand. And he would do that over and over again. And I would look at these people and I'm like, this guy, this is really like psychologically, you know, he's like amping them up. Is following, I say you do this, you do it. I say you say this, you say it. And by the end of that thing, I mean, there was a bunch of people that were signing up. And like, I don't know how that whole thing worked, but I mean, you know, like they were asking like, how much credit do you have? How much money can you get access to sign up for this? And you know what I mean? And like, so it was, at first I was kind of like.
So there is, I mean, yeah, the Than Merrills and those are like one of the bigger ones, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not big on the rah stuff. And I mean, I got enough motivation myself. You know, I got family, kids, all that kind of stuff. So for me, just to be lazy doesn't do anything.
Right.
So I'm always so rah stuff for me doesn't really help. Maybe it works for some people, but I'm more like, okay, give me the pen and paper and show me the numbers. How can you make this work? What are the logical steps?
For sure.
And there are some out there, and I've never been to a Fortune Builders, but I have borrowers, investors that I work with on routine that have become successful from that.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm sure you can.
There's other platforms and mentorship groups that are out there. I mean, it's all over Instagram, and it's just finding in social media, just finding the right one that fits your personality and your work ethic is key, because everyone needs some type of teacher or tutor to make that happen. And whatever my feeling is, whatever works your personality wise. And I get all sorts of referrals or calls from new borrowers that have gone to mentorship ABC or 1, 2, 3, and some are better than others.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like picking a therapist. You know, they're not always going to work for you. Same thing with mentors and coaches and groups. And I love that you bring that up, because so you were at Triumph Capital for a while, right? And that was up in the Bay Area.
They were out of Solana Beach, actually.
Solana Beach, right? And then now you're at, is it Civic Financial?
Civic Financial Services, landed at a great spot.
Yeah, so I checked out the website, I looked at some of the videos, and I can see that company culture and
it's top notch.
Exactly. So talk about that a little bit, like, you know, what type of company culture and you know, partnership and things like that do you value, and what have you seen, you know, why is Civic a great fit? Because
the mantra that they have, you know, and the synergy of the whole team that's there. I'm trying to think of a good word to put it together, but like the communication's key.
Communication.
We have, you know, we're nice to each other. We're always on the same team, creating smiles, making sure everybody's, you know, working and happy about the work that they're doing.
Yes.
And just being a great partner. And if someone asks for your help on something, you go above and beyond to do that. It's not like, oh, this isn't my job. Maybe it's not, but you're still going to help them out as much as they can. Totally. So there's a great synergy with the company, like I said, and
it's people centric.
Very. Yeah. And that synergy makes me want to do more.
Exactly.
And it's a great platform, great culture that helps. For me, my mindset makes me produce more, because I want to help the team out, and I want to do my job better to make it easier for my, you know, processor, my paper pusher person on the other side.
Totally.
So I definitely
like
this, keep you on your toes.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's days where, like, you know, you might not always feel at 100 like gung ho about the day or about a deal or something like that. But because of that, because of the relationships and the authenticity and the company culture and how that's set up, you still, you know, you're still motivated or disciplined enough to do, you know, to go above and beyond because of the environment you work in. I mean, I think that's such a big thing. And I think, you know, businesses and companies get in a really tough spot when the culture is like, if somebody's afraid to like say something or bring something up because of like the pecking order, or just, you know, because there's something off in the company culture, you know what I mean?
And that's the other thing too. The executives always had an open door.
Yeah.
So that, and I know that you have that with New Venture too.
Oh, with Casey, he's like, dude, there's no stupid questions. I've never once been like, I can't ask this question to Casey because he's going to think I'm an idiot. You know, it's never been like that. But I've been at plenty of other places where it was like that. And you would say, you know, you'd ask a question and people would look at you like, fuck's this guy's problem? Like, why would you know what I mean? But like, no, I've never gotten that here. And that's why I feel, you know, I've gotten the utmost respect for New Venture, and that's why we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And
I love it.
I guess, I mean, happy. ecstatic where I landed. It's through the pandemic and everything, and I changed up during that time, and it's been I've been with them a little bit over a year and a month, and it's been great. It's been phenomenal. It's one of the best places I've worked with. Yeah.
So now, do you office out of, like, during the pandemic? I mean, obviously, but is it like an open concept office, or you guys are all doing your own thing? And how does that work?
So I wasn't there before, but pre-pandemic, that was part of what made the company culture so great, because everyone was in the office, obviously, and they kept, that synergy there. I keep using that word, but they kept that there. But
I know it's cliche, but it's true though. It really,
it's important. That's important to me, and I'm glad they have that. But everyone's remote. Now it's kind of like, I'm still working. I was remote regardless, because they didn't have an office up in Bay Area, so I was remote anyway.
Right.
Redondo Beach is our closest headquarters, so I go up there when I can. Put some FaceTime in. For sure. But it's pretty open door. I think we're switching up to like a hybrid-ish model, but I know that's going to be changing for everybody nowadays with the people coming back.
Have you read any Cal Newport?
No.
So Cal Newport, I mean,
no idea.
His big thing is like digital minimalism, and he's got his whole theory book is called Deep Work, and it's really, really interesting. He talks a lot about how with technology today and open office environments and the constant notifications on your phone and the emails, like it's hard to actually focus on something. And obviously this is dependent on what your work is, but I've noticed this, like with, I've got my laptop and my 3 screens and my phone, and I got emails, and it's like, so when you're engaging in something, it can be really difficult. So I'm curious to know, like, do you find that you work best when you've got tons of people around and stuff's moving, or do you I like to shut my office door and be like, for these 3 hours, like, I don't care if it's, if the president emails me, like, I got to get something done, and I have to be able to concentrate. And I know other people would be like, nope, I'm the opposite. But like for me, and Tony, for you, probably for you too, huh? Like when you're really focused on videos and like, making your best product, like I can't, it's hard to be distracted. Otherwise I just don't get anything done.
Yeah. Well, I do tell you, right? Like I'm about to zone in and, pretty much don't talk to me.
Yeah, zone in, zoom out. Yeah,
zoom out.
Then he puts his headphones on.
I'll give you a real life example. Yesterday, I had to go through and analyze a deal. It's a fix and flip in Tennessee.
Okay.
And I don't know the area as well as I would my backyard, so I have to go and do a little bit more analyzing than what I would. Put my phone in the other room, turn on some music, and go through and do some actual work. And
I like
sit
that.
there, and it's like studying for a test. You're going through, and so you can concentrate on it, so then you know what you're talking about.
Right. We're losing our ability to focus.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, because if you're sitting there and then like you're getting dinged and everything on here, because emails are constantly coming through, someone's calling you, so you can't focus. So that I do that when I have something where I need to make sure it's going to be done correctly.
Yeah.
And then I at least, if say there's a question from our loan committee or the underwriter when they're going through the file, then XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Here's some comparables, or this is what I found when I'm running through the deal, and I can remember it because I was focused in on it.
Exactly.
So there are times where I block that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think you have to.
You absolutely do. And I mean, it's like our attention span, and you can tell, from creating content and things like that, like your attention span, the average attention span of people is like less than a goldfish now. I mean, if you put out a piece of content, you better hook them in the first 3 seconds. Otherwise, scroll. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying it's like that for everybody, but I mean, for the majority of people, the amount of business and content and marketing and so, like, with all that's going up, and our attention spans are going down, and our ability to focus on things are going down. So like, what for you personally, are there some things that you do every day that keep your productivity sharp? Do you have like a morning routine? Like what does your day in, day out look like? How do you keep on top of your game?
Cup of coffee in the mornings, crucial.
Yeah, no
Have a couple of that.
Are you like a don't talk to me until I've had some? Or
I'm definitely not on my game until I'm like 2 cups in.
See, I'm like that too.
Yeah, so I like mope around the house kind of stuff until that happens. So that's number one. But number 2 is I'm old school yellow pad, write everything out.
Well, yeah. So you and Casey share that then too. Yeah. I swear he's got a yellow pad in every room in this building.
And then I can go through I have one for every month. So then I can go back and what are my notes on the so-and-so file? And I I keep them for the year and I go back and pull that out. But
there's something about like physically writing. I've noticed that too. I've tried doing notes on my phone.
I can't do that.
No, and I mean, I can, but I'll like do it and be like, oh, I'm all organized now. And then I never look at it.
Paperless.
But if I actually write it down, I feel like it registers something in your brain.
And it's like your deal flow, your pipeline, the questions, the hurdles and stucks that you have on certain deals. Like you write that out for the day. Okay, what am I going to tackle out? What am I going to tackle first? And you go through that. What is it? Eat the frog first thing of the day.
Yep. You organize it. Do the thing that sucks the most first.
But that's the first thing. Usually it's on my second cup of coffee.
So that's how you do it.
I'm writing it. Yeah. And then that keeps me on task for the day. And I bang out that list as, not as quickly as I can, but as thoroughly as I can. For
sure.
But sticking to that. And that's like my outline for the day. And if I get to whatever time it is, I have to go pick up the kids at, football practice or whatever, dance or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't have that done yet. I will do that later at night and make sure it's out because I need to wake up the next morning and have that clean slate.
Totally. So then, are you a time blocker?
Sometimes.
Do you run out of your calendar?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But for me, it's that yellow pad is sticking to it and following those tasks that are on there. So I might not be blocking out like, okay, 10 to 11, I'm doing task number 1. It's just, as the day goes.
However it's going to happen, I'm going to get those done.
But I have to have that clean because then the next day I start a new page and write it all down again.
Right. Yeah, I like that. So you mentioned, you football practice. So I got kids. Tony's got kids. You got kids. How old are your kids?
Let's see. We got 13, 10, and 6.
So you got 3 kids.
3 kids. I'm an old man. I got gray hair.
All that stuff. Saw some pictures. Yeah, but you know what? You look immaculate, by the way. The beard, the haircut. You're looking good, brother.
It's my skin routine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you neglected to mention that. But we'll talk
I don't know what's in it. I just get thrown stuff. My wife just tells me, "Here, put this on your face," kind of stuff. So
I like that.
I'm giving away my secrets now.
I like that. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Don't give them too much. But like I said, we come back for round 2. Yeah. We'll talk about Joe Casey stories and then your skin routine.
Okay. Thanks, Max. You're making me blush. You're making me blush now.
I love it. I love it. Anyhow,
maybe it's the light.
How do you Tony does make people look good in here. He really does.
I try.
Well, how do you manage? You got the family. Like, what's your priority? How do you do that? Because the kids are doing
family's
stuff.
number 1. Yes, I can't wait for them to go back to school though.
Got it.
Makes it a lot easier. But it's just it's the life routine, right? So you have there are times where I'll have the yellow pad list for the day for work, and then you got the right corner of it is the kids stuff that's going on. Gotcha. Who's going where? What my wife has to pick her.
Who's picking up? Who's dropping off? Carpooling, the logistics.
Who needs? Luca needs a new pair of cleats, or whatever it is that you put it on there to balance that out. Sometimes that you try and knock those out as much as you can, or at least you know what's going on. But there is the one thing about. Or not the one thing, but the pandemic and, working from home and having that more acceptable. Because again, I've been doing this for, close to a decade working, remote.
Yeah.
But it's more acceptable now. So it does help out with that work-life balance.
So
and if you're in the car with the kid, driving him around, no one's going to really bat an eye anymore versus maybe 2-3 years ago, it'd be like, oh, you're not in the office kind of thing. But, you still work. Everyone still works.
You're always working.
You're on your phone. Working. It's always, you're getting your dings, your phone, your watch rings, whatever.
Yep.
It's always happening. So it's not like you're never off the clock. You're always still on. So,
well, yeah, it's funny because I started working for Casey in 2017, the end of 2017. And, my job before that was a business development job for Casey Education. I ran daycares, preschools for kindergarten.
Is that ironic that it was a Casey Education?
I don't know. It could be. It might have been the universe, shoving me out of one Casey and then over, under the wing of a new one. I'm not sure. But the funny thing is that, everything there was real structured and hourly and, but here, like when I started here, I was like, okay, like, do I clock out for lunches? Like, how does this work? And he's like, dude, I don't care as long as you produce, I don't care, And so when Tony started, he was like emailing me like, hey Max, I'm going to leave for lunch. I'll be back around this time. Is that okay? And like, I was like, sure. And like by the 3rd or 4th day, I was like, dude, you do whatever you want as long as you get the stuff done on time. It's really all good. If we don't miss meetings and everything's good. And then with the pandemic, it's really like that now.
Oh yeah,
and it really helps me too because I've got a daughter. Tony, what are you going to get Rachel into? Like, are you guys going to do like? Do you want her to be athletic, or you want to do like dance? Like, what does Kai think? Like, what's the plan there?
Well, I want her to have a little bit of both, right? I want her to be athletic. I consider myself not like right now. I'm not like very athletic, right? But I consider myself into sport. I've always been, since I remember, been involved in sports, but also arts. I think they help you. Sports helps you to have that discipline and how to be a team player, right? I think that's one of the biggest.
Oh, definitely.
Sounds like your kids are athletic.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they got my genes, so I don't know how athletic they are.
Oh yeah, yeah,
but, they're okay.
Yeah,
they like it. The camaraderie with the team. It's a great.
It's good.
It's needed.
It's good.
You have the school aspect of it, but then my oldest daughter does competitive dance team, so she's like going to these national tournaments and all that kind of stuff, and it's what she's passionate about. My son loves the water. He loves music, and he's a drummer, takes drum lessons. He also loves playing football and golf, so he's picking that up too. Sure. My youngest, I don't know, she's 6. She's trying to figure out her way in the world. But I guess my wife and I were actually talking about this the other day was because someone brought up about kids working and when they get older and to earn their own money, their gas money or pay for their car or whatever. And it's like we've kind of come up with this idea like, okay, if you're not following something that you're passionate about, whether it's, music or your athletics, your dance, your football, whatever, if you're not following that, then you got to get a job. And if you're not, if you are following something that you're passionate about, then we'll pay you like a job. We'll give you your allowance based off the hours you put in on that.
That's awesome.
So
I love that.
Well, we're in a, blessed to have, position to where we're doing that, not to rely on someone where you can do that. So
that's great,
really but that's something that we haven't communicated that to our kids. But when they get to that age, they're still younger, but when they get to that age, that's something like, okay, you're practicing football for 20 hours a week, so that's like your part-time job.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Like the NCAA kids now, they're getting paid and all that kind of stuff now, right?
Yeah. Now I think now they are.
So they can't go. It's a long way from it, kind of going off topic, but they can't have enough time to dedicate to their craft and then go get a job for survival. So,
but it's interesting that you're talking about this. So a couple things is, one, I think that so like with my daughter, she's 4. My parents, bless their hearts, did not teach me about money. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a lawyer. My dad made good money, but he wasn't like a finance guy, and he wasn't like, look, I'm going to teach you how to do, that we just didn't do that. And I'm from the Midwest where everybody, like nobody talks about anything really. But anyways, the interesting thing is that I've learned a lot about money and about business and about, from working with Casey, and so I'm like, okay, like, wow, I need to teach my kid about this stuff. And so I've got her like on this point system now where, it's like the stuff that if she brushes and flosses and gets dressed, and it's all like the pinnacle things that need to get done in order for me, like for her well-being, but also for mine, because we are always working, and I'm blessed enough to work for a company that's like, you can do your thing as long as you're producing. And it's true. Like if I'm at home, I'm hosting for, like, I'm always working. Tony is always working wherever we are. But for my daughter, like a point is like $3. And so, she gets she gets like 4 or 5 points. And then I'll ask her, what do you want to do? Do you want to spend this on a toy? Do you want something? Right. Exactly. And then she'll be like, well, I want this bigger toy. And I'll be like, okay, well then you can't spend now. You got to wait. You got to save that up. And so one time she's like, well, I want this one, but I just need a couple more points. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll tell you what, you can borrow 2 points from me, but then the next 2 points you get.
How much interest you charge her?
Yeah, well, see that I didn't charge her any, but I was like, the next 2 points you get are mine then. I should have said, you owe me 3. That's what I should have said if I was smart. But, so I get her on this point system, and I got to tell this story quick because it's hilarious, but it's the chocolate coin. Did I tell you the chocolate coin story? So at night, if she does everything, you know, she's like, hey, you know, can I get a piece of candy or, you know, Hershey's Kiss or it was chocolate coins at the time.
Okay.
So sure, you know, you can have a chocolate coin. But one time in the morning, she goes, hey, Dad, can I have a chocolate coin? And I'm like, no, it's 7:30 in the morning. You haven't had breakfast. You know, we're not doing chocolate coins. And she's like, okay, but how about this? If you give me a chocolate coin now, I won't need one later on, and I won't even ask you for it, right?
Good job.
And I go, no, we're not doing that. She goes, okay, well, listen, I'm just going to slide this in your pocket, and I want you to think about it on the way to school. I'm like, you're trying to do like the foot in the door technique with me. So she slides this thing in my pocket.
Teaching her well, it's good.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not bad. And, you know, she's
not taking no for an answer.
Hopefully he's going to be way more successful than me. And I plan on going as high as I can, but I love that, you know, so I'm telling this story to people and they're like, dude, like, you got to be careful. I'm already kind of a pushover, but I mean, hopefully she's just going to.
I definitely am. I always say okay to my kids. It's hard as hell.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not alone there, right? Yeah. I love it though, but
they know when to ask and when not to ask.
Yep.
But perfect though. Just to sum that up, teaching the kids the value of $1 is definitely on the list.
It's important, right?
They don't teach that stuff in school anymore.
Totally.
Ever.
Exactly.
So,
and I mean, working for a company like, you know, that Tony and I work for, we're able to do that. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, if I need, as long as I'm producing, if I need to go to a family thing, if I need to do something for my kid, if I need to work from home, if I need to, you know, be like, okay, I'm going to move this around and then I'll take care of this at 10 o'clock tonight. I'll make sure it gets, you know what I mean? It's just flexibility. And I feel like the companies that are succeeding are the ones that are doing that right. But then there's the team element as well.
Correct.
So it's not like you're off on your own doing your own thing. No, we're still a group. We're still a team. I've always felt like that here. So is that what Civic is?
Civic is great. I mean, we have a morning team huddle.
Yep.
And
us as well.
Kind of, I mean, again, I've already had my coffee and, you know, sometimes I'm, you know, drinking the third one, but it really starts your day off. And when there's days when we don't have it, like if, you know, so-and-so's out or, you know, it's something where like the schedules didn't mesh up, but normally we do.
Yeah.
But if there's something where we don't have it, then the day's kind of off. So it's great to set the tone, even if it's 10, 15 minutes, it's great to get that rolling.
Totally.
And my yellow pad's already ready to go. By the time that happens, you list what your big hurdles are for the day, how you're going to tackle those and approach them. And it really sets the tone for the day. So I love that.
Yeah. And so you get a mix. You get a mix. There's structure and accountability, but it's also, you know, like on the flip side, it's like, like we provide some of this, but also like it's on you. Like nobody's going to get this stuff done for you.
Yeah. I can do the huddle and then just sit and flip through TV all day.
Right.
And then
you got to make it happen.
You got to make it happen.
Yep, for sure. I love that.
There's still accountability for it. And at the end of the day, if you're not producing, your pocketbook is going to be affected. So you do have to do it.
Totally.
But it's the accountability and the team building is still there, even though we are remote. Done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
The executives did a great job with that.
Yep. No, I mean, I feel the same way here. When the pandemic hit, we were able to go like full remote within like 2 weeks.
Now, you guys crushed it right off the bat.
We did. Yeah. It was really cool.
Remember you put together a video too. I remember watching
Tony
it.
did. Tony
did.
Yeah. Tony does.
We had everybody like at their home and they like turned. I remember that one. It brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's good. And like, it's great. Like, you know, I give the company a lot of kudos because we've been able to do that, but also the camaraderie is still there. The team mentality is still there and the leadership is still there, you know? So that's really cool. And, you know, we've got a bunch of tech stuff. We're forward thinking and all that, but so Civic, tell me about the Origins 8 platform. Is that, I mean, it seems
Originate?
Originate,
yeah.
Sorry.
So that's, it's
Originate.
Originate, yeah. Originate.
It's a play on words.
Originating a loan. So
yes.
The Originate.
I get it. Tell me about that.
It's great. It's great. It really helps to put so the borrower can move the thing along as well. So it's a whole document platform. So they have their own account. So we're big on repeat business. So if, like we were talking earlier, fix and flip, borrower, investor doesn't want to do just one and take off. They want to do 10 a year.
Yeah, this was great.
So this makes it easier. It's like, let's do it again. Okay, upload your bank statement, your new bank statement and your budget. They can just upload it to there. I can pull it up from there. And I have borrowers that are on that routine that they'll upload it and won't even call me. And then maybe they'll shoot me an email. Hey, I just got into contract on a new project. Take a look.
Right.
And
so it makes your job easier.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
Or maybe not easier, but more efficient.
More efficient. And that's for the whole borrower experience. It's top notch. It's still growing too. So we're always making tweaks and changes to it to help make that borrower experience better. So it was built with the borrower. I just keep saying borrower, with the client in mind.
For sure.
And the originator, the salesperson, the team second. So it still works for us. Great. But it does help out that client experience.
Yeah. So what are some of the, some of the feedback you've gotten from clients? Do a lot of people use it? Do they really like it? Have they been like, this has been a great experience?
I have some easy adapters.
Yeah. Because that's always the question, right? Like some people are like, oh, I don't want to do all that stuff.
So some will still email me, which is fine.
Yeah.
But contractors stereotypically hate paperwork altogether.
For sure, yeah.
So if I ask them for a list of, hey, put together a budget and XYZ, I'll get piecemealed anyway.
Yeah.
But it's certain investor, borrower, clientele will pull that up and love it. And for those that do adapt to it, great. I have some borrowers I worked with for a decade that I'm trying to get steer them in the right direction, and they'll do it. So there is some tutoring involved to get someone to adapt to any type of technology.
Totally.
Right?
So how are you guys marketing that then?
We're doing the basic email blasts, stuff on social media, all that kind of stuff.
So kind of like the regular Marcom type of stuff.
Regular type marketing. But then for me, when you're engaging with the client one-on-one, I'm like, take advantage of this.
Yeah.
It makes your life easier. Try it out. Makes your life easier. Set up an account. Here's the link. Sometimes I kind of force them, like when they're, get real in the details, but they have to pay for an appraisal. I'll send them the link. Here, just pay for the appraisal. You have to put your username in and sign up here. And then they have an account, and then it's easier for them to roll with it on the next deal.
Yeah, totally.
So it's that, beside the company synergy, the technology that Civic is putting out there and getting there is another key element which drove me to them.
Yeah, and so like, do you feel like that kind of makes Civic unique? Like what do you think is the most, like, what sets you guys apart from some of the other people? Is it the tech, or is it the synergy, or is it a combination of all that stuff?
It's all of it. I mean, we're not the only one in our space that do what we do. I mean, everyone has competitors. Price wise, we're right in the lower end of the spectrum, which is awesome. Which I've never been on the lower end of the spectrum. I've always been the higher rate guy. So for me personally, I'm still giving the Joe Lima customer service aspect that I've been doing for 20 years, and then combining that with lower price than most, which I'm getting new business that I never would, because I'm still doing that same customer relationship factor and helping tutor and grow a client along the way. So there is some there's a lot of education that you're giving a client, especially if someone that just got fresh off one of those courses.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't, if I was if I was like, hey, I got this I wouldn't know a damn thing. You would have to really, I can imagine.
There's some that learn more than others, but there is education, and there's sometimes you're a therapist because they're stressed out about, making the deal work and all that kind of stuff too. But, where am I going with this? I guess that the overall, all those factors is what drive business to our way.
Definitely.
And we are, big, like I said, big on repeat business and rewarding them for coming back.
Yeah.
So
totally.
it's either if it's their pocketbook with a lower rate, or they're getting a nice gift.
Well, okay. So then before we get into, like the forecast of where, you feel like the industry is going, I would just briefly, let's touch on social media a little bit. I see a ton from realtors on social media, the big like lifestyle stuff, but like people in mortgage and find, like, what have you seen that's worked really well for them on social media? I know, we talked a little bit about your approach.
Yeah.
How you've got the business over here and your personal over here. And I know you get a decent amount of engagement, but is there anything like what would help somebody in your field, like cut through the noise, if you will?
I got a face for radio or podcast, so it's not like they're going to scroll through and see my face and stop on it and like it. So I got to try to do something a little bit unique.
Okay.
Doing conventional mortgages might be kind of tough unless you're out there giving tips on as far as how to qualify
Sure.
and what paperwork you need to provide and all that kind of stuff. But luckily for me, in my niche, I try and emulate sometimes those Flip This House TV shows that are on HGTV and show the before and afters as much as I can. Sometimes physically, I'm not able to make it to Tennessee or Washington to go just film a 2-minute segment on a house, but it's finding that unique factor that's out there to put on social media, so someone will look at it and go, "Oh, this is what this guy does," and engage with it.
I could right away when I went to your Instagram, I was like, "Oh, this guy works," because it's like property, family picture, video, property. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot, and then you even had like I want to say one that's got like the wood boards and getting into the the nitty gritty of stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said earlier, I genuinely love watching these projects progress. I mean, I can barely hang a picture on the wall without nailing it, 7 or 8 times when it looks all crooked and doesn't look straight. So for me to go out to a project and I know the numbers, okay, they got, $20,000 for flooring and they're going to put this much into the cabinets. And I know the numbers, how it's supposed to look. But if a general contractor handed me the hammer and said, "Here, you do it," it would be all screwed up.
Totally.
So for me to watch something, and my expertise is the numbers and the financing, and to be a part of something like that is satisfying. It's something where you can actually physically see it start from a hole in the ground and build up to this nice looking house.
And you truly have a passion for what you do. I mean, that's what I'm
great. It's great. It's great to see that happen. And someone be successful in making that project happen and you being a part of it. Yeah. And I couldn't do it. The physical aspect, like I said, I couldn't do it. I would mess it up. So at least I'm a part of it some way and to see that momentum go.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it's very satisfying to see that.
Awesome. Well, then let's talk about the next 20 years or so. How do you think, how is the private lending and mortgage and investments? I mean, how is tech going to change some of that stuff? Is there any, we talk about the whole, there was the mobile app thing and, everything is based online now and cloud technology and all this kind of stuff. And there's a bunch of people running around thinking robots are going to replace everybody. I mean, I've heard a lot from real estate agents and, I tend to agree with the agents that have been on here. I mean, I don't think anything is going to replace a true, genuine human relationship. No. Like at the end of the day, if you have a purchase or a project that, it has a lot of money tied up and a lot of emotional investment, you're going to want a human being to help you with that. I've always felt that way. So definitely. I'm interested in hearing, what you think. How does that apply to your sector?
Well, technology-wise, what I've seen, let's just call it the past 10 years in private money. I'll leave the conventional stuff out of it because that's really innovative in its own route. But every private money deal, construction deal, it's very unique. Nothing is cookie cutter. I mean, you could try to be as much as you can, but it's not. I mean, just comparing the two between Joe and Susie home buyer stuff to the construction side of it, because no house is the same, or construction budget, everything. So there's still a human element to that you have to go through and analyze it. No matter what a computer spits out, or an online platform or whatever automated system, you still have to go through and take a look at that. Where technology from that aspect has changed in that. I mean, when I first started, I had to go get you couldn't have the PDF plans. You had to go get the full blueprints.
Oh, for real?
Lay them out. I mean, this was old. I mean, the office I worked at was kind of old school in itself. But
that's actually kind of cool.
It was. But
that'd be a cool social media thing.
It costs a lot to print, though. It's a lot of money.
I'm sure.
And it's annoying because you have to bring out the big table, all that kind of stuff. But you go from that to now, just a simple PDF makes it work, writable.
Yep.
But from a technology aspect, I guess the biggest thing is on the draw side, or when they're actually done with the financing and they're actually working on the project. And there's platforms out there that are allowing, because not to get too detailed on this part of it, but the logistics, I guess, of it. But when, say it's a project that I put a $100,000 budget that they're going to rehab this house with $100,000. And the contractor has listed out, okay, we're going to spend $10,000 on floors, $10,000 on cabinets, $30,000 on the adding some square footage. They line item break it down.
Put that together.
So when the borrower needs that money, I don't just hand them over the $100,000 and go, hey, good luck. Make the project. Right. We pay it out on, completed work. So if they have 10 grand for flooring, they finish the flooring, then they come to me and go, hey, look, we paid the contractor. I need to get reimbursed for the flooring that we paid for. We send an inspector out, takes a picture. Yep, the flooring's in. And then we wire the money.
Yep.
I mean, you wouldn't believe how many times I over the past 10 years where someone says that, the inspector goes out and there's no flooring in, and they still want the money. Right. So I guess what I'm getting at is the technology side on that part of it is really come around over the past year. So
the human element is still there. The technology is used to make those connections more efficient and faster and easier.
Correct. Like simple uploading of pictures. There's a feasibility report that companies do now where it goes through other projects, taking that data and saying, okay, other similar projects that have done this type of work, this is the range of the price that they should be paying for the work that they're doing. So then when you look at that budget, you can take the feasibility report and say, oh, yeah, the 10 grand looks about right. Sure. It's in the range. It's not like for this square footage, you have 10 grand down, but it really should be 30. Then that's part of the homework where you go to the borrower and go, hey, look, how are you going to make this work? Yeah. So that part of the logistics there have really taken off. And there's companies out there that we use from a third-party vendor to help us with that.
Yeah. So you can avoid hardships and unnecessary risk and things like that.
Yeah. And at least And from a lender risk, it brings up the red flags that you would want to have that conversation with the borrower about.
Yeah. Before you get too deep into it.
Setting them up for success. Your budget's a little off. Yep. You need to add a little bit here or take off a little bit there. So that part has grown or really progressed as far as the technology's gone.
Awesome.
And that's probably one of the bigger factors because it's not like I do a loan for them and they're gone. They're married to me. They're and Civic because we're stuck. If the project takes them 4 or 5 months, they're drawing off that budget for 4 or 5 months. So they're just not, hey, thanks for closing the deal. Good luck. Again, they're coming back to us. So the easier that process is for the borrower to get that money back out after we've given them the financing for it, makes the project go smoother.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So we can expect to see more of that in the future here.
Yes, definitely.
Cool. But the robots aren't going to replace anybody just yet.
No, not yet.
Awesome.
But from a real estate perspective, though, I mean, just from an overall, I mean, just comparing this market run to 13 years ago in the 08 kind of thing, just from a general lender perspective, totally different way of qualifying for the Joe and Susie homebuyer aspect of it. But from where I'm at on the construction side of things is the run we're having right now, I mean, California in general, nation in general, is from my opinion, basic supply and demand. There's just not enough housing that's out there. Mm-hmm. So people they're trying to upgrade their house or get that bigger house. The new the demographic that's coming into new first-time home buyers, there's just not enough out there. Mm-hmm. And you always see articles about, you can't build enough construction, or there's not enough construction going on, or new house builds to help out with the demand. And that's my opinion, that helps driving that price there. So for me as a construction finance lender, I'm seeing more and more new builds that are coming out, trying to, like we're talking about earlier, where you're knocking down that house and taking that lot and building 4 because there's a shortage of housing. Mm-hmm. Not getting into the bureaucracy of getting plans and permits approved through the county or city or whoever, because that's a whole different conversation. But those contractors that want to go out and do those spec homes to build more houses, they need money to make that happen. Sure. They can't just be like, the city can't just be out, we need more housing, someone go out and do it. Mm-hmm. They need to have an incentive for them to put that together, maybe making it more easier for them to put together those approvals. But the other side of it is getting that money, that capital, because everything costs money, wood, your labor, even putting the architectural plan. So having where I'm going with this is that for myself is seeing that start to progress more for those new builds to help out with the real estate supply and demand. Mm-hmm. So I'm seeing, and my crystal ball is seeing that there's going to be more smaller development type, where instead of having this large lot with one house on it, you're going to see more density. In some, you're kind of already seeing it now. If you go drive through some of the areas of, close to downtown, you're going to see that in here. And same thing with the Bay Area. There's just not enough land to build for those areas that are in there.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's picking up more steam as far as the smaller development kind of plays.
Cool.
Yeah.
We love that. Well, appreciate the insight. And Joe Lima, tell everybody, how can we get in touch with you, a hold of you? How can we follow you? How do we interact with you?
Best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram. Financing Flippers is the handle. On there pretty routinely, checking some DMs, and it's a great way to see the type of business that's out there that I'm doing. So that's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Really, really enjoyed it.
That went by fast, man.
Yeah, it does. It flies. Good conversation equals, I guess, quick. I don't know what's the word that they use. Perception of time. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I can tell. Are you sure there's no alcohol in this? All right. Well, listen. If you guys enjoyed this episode, definitely check us out at the What's Next Pod. .com. We're on Instagram and Facebook as well. And of course, you can check out our videos on YouTube. Go ahead, give us a like, a subscribe, a share. And that's really all I got. Thanks again for being here. Tony, do you have any parting words for our audience before we wrap it up?
For our guests, thank you for coming.
Hey,
the information
no problem,
was very insightful, and we really appreciate valuable information, and your stuff.
I try to act smart when I can. Thanks.
You and me both, brother. All right, Tony, take us out, man. Let's do it. We sit down with real estate agents and talk about how the industry is changing, thriving with technology. We look at strategy. We love it. And welcome to What's Next podcast.